I suppose, Dave, just watching you on the broadcast, then you use the word horrendous to describe the officiating. You're not the kind of guy who often, I don't think I've ever seen you talk about officiating like that since you've been coach. What in particular, what decisions were you irked by? And can you just give us a general overview on your thoughts on the match as well?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I make a real point not to criticise referees, and we hand reports in and we seek a bit of clarity around things. But we did that after the Scotland game. Got a lot of apologies during the week. In a game that was a 2-point ball game, and the same TMO who made a massive decision in that game as well. So I just think our boys deserve better than that. And, that's the reason why I spoke up after the game. So, it's not going to help us getting apologies during the week. The game's gone.
Do you have an issue with the red or with Curly's yellow or with their knockdown, which ended up being a knockback? Or which of those decisions at all?
No, I don't have an issue with a red card because that's the way it's being refereed nowadays. Rob's responsibility is to drop his height in the tackle, and he didn't, and had a head clash. So you got to take that on the chin. I wasn't happy with Curtly's yellow card. He's making an effort to wrap two arms. It clips his hand on the way through. They find a yellow card for that. And yet Tompkinson slaps the ball down in open play. Somehow they say that didn't go forward when he's facing forward. And they get 7 points out of it instead of getting a yellow card and us getting a penalty. So there were lots of decisions today I'm not going to go into. But I felt they had a massive bearing on the game, and our boys played with a lot of courage and a lot of heart tonight, and we almost did enough to win that. Incredibly disappointed with the officiating. Obviously, we'll follow up with a report back to Joljut.
I know it's tough to take. It's a loss at the very last minute, but without several of your best players not playing, to have 13 men playing at one point, 14 men for 65 minutes, to be leading after the siren, like how, I know it's a loss, but does it feel like it's a marked improvement on what you put out in the last 2 weeks?
We're incredibly proud of the effort. That was massive. We said we're going to empty out the tank for each other, and when you're one short and two short, you've got to do that. And so heaps of character, and, we got put under the blowtorch, and I thought the boys responded really well. So I'm really proud of the guys, but, as I said, I feel they deserve better.
Dave, I understand they're completely different circumstances. Rassie Erasmus's attack on World Rugby a couple of months ago, but is there a fear from coaches, players, that if you do say something, you might also cop punishment?
Oh, look, no doubt. But how do I support our team by biting my lip again and us getting apologies during the week? It doesn't change the result, and like I said, the boys ended out of the tank for each other, and we deserved a better result than that. And so, I felt it was important that I spoke my mind. And as Sam mentioned, I've been a professional coach for over 20 years. I've never gone in the media and had a crack at a referee or the referee group, but I felt I had to tonight.
Yeah, and is there a different circumstance when you're doing this in a post-match press conference as opposed to, going through it all days later and putting it out in public domain then?
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to compare the situation. I've made a decision to voice our disappointment, immediately after the game, because it's not emotional, it's not overreacting. But I thought it's important that we stated our feelings.
James, what was your take on the game? And did you feel like it wasn't particularly a fair contest at times?
My take on the game was, obviously we started really well, but then put ourselves under a lot of pressure. Obviously losing Bobby was 11 minutes into the game, so we played a man down for 70 minutes. Then we lost Kirtley as well. So those moments really, really hurt us and put us under a lot of pressure. And to be in the game towards the end of the game, I was extremely proud. And the disappointing thing was we could have easily won that one. Some of the calls, I'm still a little bit shocked, but at the end of the day, the result's been done, and I guess Renz has voiced his opinion on that.
Dave, can I ask, generally, how do you find the officiating going? You mentioned you've been a coach for a long time, in the game for a long time, but this involvement of the TMO and the way the game's refereed at the moment, are you fine with that overall?
Look, I think from a TMO perspective, the reason the TMO was brought in was to get the right decision. And, it's going to slow the game down, but you get to look at it and make the right decision. I reflect back on Marius's decision to sin bin Alan Alator in Scotland. Now, during the week, we were told, no, it was a wrong decision, it wasn't a yellow card. So they're big moments, and getting an apology during the week is not good enough. So I think if we're going to have the TMO, there's no excuse for not getting the decision right. And we saw another example of that tonight.
So what would you see? What would you like to see done? Like, is it a matter of just trying to make these guys more accountable? Like, what options do you, as coaches, do you have to try and make the system, improve the system? So, because it does seem like we're deteriorating further and further down this path. The more the years go on, the more that TMO is getting involved, the more these decisions like this are happening. So, what from your perspective, what action can actually be taken?
Well, everyone's accountable, or they should be. Certainly we are. And you want to make sure that the officials are also accountable. So, Marius' decision a couple of weeks ago decided a game, yet he was appointed again. So is there any accountability around guys making errors that are deciding test matches?
Three tough losses to end the season. At the end of this spring tour, what can you take out of these past three games heading into 2022?
We'll reflect back on 3 games that were winnable. So that's frustrating. We've learned a lot with, I think what we've highlighted, hopefully to everyone back at home, is there's a huge amount of courage and character in this group, and we saw that again tonight. We beat a French team with 14 players for 75 minutes. So we've got a group of men who will dig in and fight for each other, and weren't accurate enough in the first couple of weeks, and finished second. So we'll take learnings out of this. Obviously very disappointed not to get a win on tour, but I will be better for it.
And just on the injury front, Andrew and Taniela both came off pretty groggy. How are they holding up in the sheds?
Yeah, Cal's landed awkwardly. He he knocked himself out. He was snoring for a minute or so, so it was an automatic replacement. So he had no issue. He didn't even test. He's automatically out of the game. Taniela's injury was a shin, and so we tried to put him out for 5 or 10 minutes in the second half, and it was evident within a couple of minutes that he was still struggling. So we made the sub.
Dave, discipline's been an issue. Obviously, you've spoken about it quite a lot. Is this down to the players now, or as coaches, can you do any more to address these issues?
Yeah, look, I thought we were a lot better disciplined tonight. I think the penalty count was 13, and we'd argue a number of those. But we've got to be better. We've lost the penalty count in all 3 games we've played up here, and so we've clearly got to adjust better. And I take responsibility for that. We're not blaming the players. We've got to make sure that we're disciplined and that we understand that there's consequences for that on game day. We've got to make sure there's consequences during the week. So, we have to be better there.
Last couple of things, guys.
Dave, can you just give us an assessment of the European-based players that came and joined the squad? that they featured prominently tonight. Kirtley, particularly. Are you able to give us just your general thoughts, and do you hope that they're going to continue to be involved? Because none of those guys, Kirtley actually admit the Giddo law, but the Locks haven't.
Yeah, look, we really appreciate their input, not just on the field on game day, but in all our meetings and our reviews and training. And I like the good men, the passionate Australians who want to be Wallabies. And we've appreciated the support of the board to bring a few guys back this year, and they've all enjoyed the culture, and but we'll find out. We'll sit down with the board and review the Ghetto law and get an idea of what that looks like beyond this year.